And when you didn't think it could get any worse for Bricks and Minifigs, this owner has now exposed them, and honestly, it's wild. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we have another Bricks and Minifigs store owner exposing what is going on behind the scenes at Bricks and Minifigs. Honestly, some of this is crazy, so make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, hype the video, and let's get into it. Also, a massive shout out to Collecting Weekly who got this information. I'll leave a link to their video down below, but this is all verified by them. The first question that was asked is, what are your overall thoughts on everything that's happened so far? Are you a member of the IABAMF group? And that stands for the Independent Association of Bricks and Minifigs. And this is the Bricks and Minifigs store owner's response. My thoughts are that I didn't sign up to pay the financial consequences of their bad decisions. I'm a member of the group, although I don't agree much with them either. They only want to fight for leadership change. There's no change they can make that will recover their reputation. So that is a pretty strong message from the start. Obviously, they are now paying the financial consequences of the CEO and corporate's actions. They are obviously part of the Independent Association of Bricks and Minifigs, which is the store owners collectively coming together to fight this, but they're fighting for the change of ownership. And this person's right, the reputation is so damaged that honestly, without a rebrand or a completely new company, this is not going to change for them. A majority of store owners have other professions, deep pockets, working spouses, etc. I dumped every cent I was worth into this store largely on a promise from corporate that they were finalizing a contract with Lego to acquire all new in-box inventory. Now, we know that deal did go through, as I spoke about it in last video, but obviously there's been some huge issues with that, and it's obviously taken its toll on all the store owners, but this one specifically. As they've mentioned, other store owners have other things going on, so this isn't their be-all and end-all of income, but for some people like this store owner, this is their only source of income, and they've put their life savings into this. The margins will be significantly higher than they are with the current third-party vendor, is what corporate said. They did finalize the contract, but all it did was turn corporate into a third-party vendor. Now they purchase from Lego at whatever margins they agreed on, and they sell it to the stores. The margins increased approximately 5 to 8%. I've been treading water for a year, and this scandal is making everything worse. They then go on to say, they are amazing salesmen, I'll give them credit for that, but they are about as slimy as they come. The corporate office is filled with direct and indirect McNeff family members, siblings, spouses, cousins, in-laws, etc. Now that part there tells you an incredible amount of information. Now, as we've seen from Crystal's situation, if you do something they don't like, they can take the store away from you. So it would make sense for McNeff to have the whole company run by his family, so no one asks questions and they all make a lot of money. But obviously the downside to that is what we're seeing now. Now the next question was, before this change, where did franchisees purchase new in-box inventory from? And after the change, what's the purchasing process now? So this refers to basically the new Lego deal that I covered in a previous video, which I'll link down below. And they replied it was Toy House before. I believe they are a supplier for some other franchises like Ace Hardware. We now order directly from BAM Corporate Shopify's store. Then they order what we request. It is shipped to them. They ship it to the stores. Here's a perfect example. Most Star Wars from Toy House has been between 11 and 19% margins. Now they're between 18 and 24%. Now they mentioned in there that BAM Corporate actually send the stock out to the franchise stores. If that is the case, they are the reason for all the messed up orders, the damaged deliveries and missing deliveries, because at first we were under the assumption that it was actually sent from Lego directly. But if this person's correct and it is actually from BAM Corporate, then they're the ones to blame, and I wouldn't be surprised if they'd done some of that stuff on purpose. Now the next question was, when did you first become aware of the Brian Mansell situation? Now this is where it gets juicy. They answered, I saw a local Oregon news story online right after the other YouTuber who had his C3PO minifigure stolen by a store in NC. That was probably about 4 months before Ben's video came out, but corporate never mentioned anything to owners about it until after it blew up. So I'm sure you've all seen the video on the C3PO. Obviously that was a terrible look for Bricks and Minifigs, but it did look like an isolated incident. But obviously when this came out, it seems like BAM Corporate are doing things in a lot of different stores. Now the fact that they kept this quiet quiet from owners is pretty terrible, to be honest, because they knew the wrath that was coming. If they've been fighting this YouTuber guy that they knew because they kept calling him that throughout all the videos we've seen, they've been fighting this guy for so long, then they knew this was going to be coming out. They knew social media would have its say, and they knew stores would suffer. So for them to keep it quiet, I think is actually quite disgusting. The next question was, how accessible are Matt and Ammon to franchise owners? Now, we know previously that they've been keeping quiet for the last few weeks, as they haven't really said much or sent any emails out, but they answered with a laughing face and then contact them ? Possibly Matt, he is either a halfway decent human or just better at portraying one. He's pretty likable in person. Many owners get moaned at for expressing themselves on Slack. Owners have sent formal letters requesting Ammon to step down, get responses from attorneys, and aren't allowed to communicate with him directly. There's a handful of owners who will defend those brothers at all costs. Not sure why, but the list gets shorter and shorter by the week. So them being told that they can't have any contact with their technically bosses because they own the company is pretty ridiculous, if I'm honest. And the fact that people are defending them is crazy. How are we defending them? What are you doing? Are you trying to save your job? Are you trying to save your business? I get that, but defending them will make you look bad, and people will not want to come to your store if they find out that you're defending these people that are taking money from old people. And at this point, they're just stealing money from everyone. Now, the next question was, what were you told during the franchise recruitment process, and what ultimately convinced you to open a Bricks and Minifigs store? Now, this is super interesting because loads of stores keep opening. There was 3 more the other day. There's been loads in the last few weeks. I'm not sure what's going on. I'm not sure if people can get out the contracts, if they're aware of the situation, or they're being told other things from the McNeffs. I have no idea, but honestly, why are we opening more stores? But their response was, John used to be basically a recruiter, a super nice guy at the time, told me I'd have no problem making over 100k a year in profit, bragged about how him and Ammon had been best friends since childhood. Now, you can never guarantee making any money, so for them to brag and guarantee that you'll make over 100k a year profit, they must have a pretty strong business model. But yeah, I don't know how you can promise that or brag about that or tell people that that's pretty much guaranteed, because it never is. The next question is, what do you think the public misunderstands most about what's happening between corporate and franchises? Now, this is a very good question, and their response was, I hope this never ends, to be honest. If the end results in their money drying up from legal/PR fees, or Lego getting tired of all of it and cuts ties with them, if I have to go to the food bank in the meantime, I will. I want the company gone. There's no benefit of being affiliated with them anymore. People buy franchises for brand recognition. Some want new leadership. I just want to remove their name from my door and change the name. And that says it all, really. You've got people that have literally got to survive off this business, and they are willing to go to food banks and not make any money just to get rid of these guys and the name of the company. Like I said in a lot of videos, I think the whole company needs a rebrand with a new name, new owners, and everything in between, because without that, this company is not going to survive. And let me know in the comments, do you think Lego should cut ties with Bricks and Minifigs? I think the obvious answer is yes, but I'd like to see your thoughts in the comments. Now, the next question says, generally speaking, how have the recent events affected your store, your employees, and your day-to-day business? The public doesn't want to support them, and I can't disagree with that whatsoever. But boycotting stores, review bombing stores hurts the franchisees more than corporate. I paid my rent with a credit card last month. I honestly don't think that regular customers who come in weekly or bi-weekly really care. They like the owners and the employees and are very loyal. The damage they have done with the potential customers or future customers, and a lot of stores won't survive without new customers. People who had never heard of Bricks and Minifigs have now, and when they drive past the store and see that name, they won't relate to it anything other than theft, shadiness, false police statements, big corporations destroying regular people with lawsuits, no average American roots for CEOs. And I think they summed that up perfectly. That is literally what everybody thinks of Bricks and Minifigs. I'm in the UK and I know all about them only because I have seen videos previously, but this is spreading that far and wide that when people come to America to visit, I won't be going in a Bricks and Minifigs store. It was on my to-do list at some point, but I just won't be doing it. I think there's some in Canada, I'm not too sure, but I would have gone to one if I could have when I was in Canada a while ago, but I never went to one, and if I'm honest, I'm glad I didn't, because I would have been supporting these thieves. Now, the next question says, what decisions or changes from corporate have had the biggest positive or negative impact on your store? They said they haven't done anything in light of this situation that has affected anything in either direction. Their public statements seem like BS jargon. Their field coaches they announced started long before this scandal. They just made it sound like it's a new program. I have a field coach 8-9 months months ago. All these statements about inventory tracking regulations are just reactive. I guess it may help prevent a similar situation in the future, but it won't really have much impact. I'm not sure what they could do to help really. After their internal financial assessment they did just to determine if this situation has affected their sales, their answer is to help the stores was to offer each store a $400 credit on the corporate Shopify store. They are trying to save their own asses. I've made plenty of mistakes. My current situation can't be blamed solely on corporate, but their handling of this just sets everyone back more than they were. It's clearly not a misunderstanding or all Crystal's fault. There's shady shit going on in that office. The U-Hauls, Josh, Brandon, their financials, all the legal fees they paid last year, the stuff with their father, these other prior owners coming out. There's too many coincidences. Now the bit I want to touch on there is they offered them a $400 store credit to their own stock. I know they have to order stuff to get to their stores through corporate, I get that, but a $400 credit, what's that going to do? Why didn't you pay all their rents for the 1 month? You've got enough money. Why didn't you do that? Why didn't you halt any fees, or why didn't you just stop them paying as much as they are to help them while you try and clear up this mess that, let's be honest, you're never going to be able to clear up? Honestly, it's disgusting. It just is I don't even know what you'd call that. An insult? I think is a bit of an insult. Let me know what you think in the comments. Now the next question was, what kind of support or changes from corporate would make the biggest difference for franchises owners right now? And they replied, there are way too many stores now. They are competing with each other, which seems very counterintuitive. They just want those franchise fees and royalties rolling in, and if a store fails, that's just more for them in transfer fees. They have no experience in running a large company, and it shows. I think everything they've done so far shows that pretty well. Now the next question was, what's the understanding of BAM's policy on consignment? Has your store ever accepted items on consignment? They replied, honestly, I've never even considered consignment. They say it's not allowed by contract, but I've never actually looked. Now the next question is there anything you've seen reported publicly you think is inaccurate or missing important context? They replied, Matt and Ammon only own 49% of Bricks and Minifigs. Reed Birmhall is the majority shareholder. He is also the corporate CFO. Now this is the first time I think I've heard that name mentioned, so this guy needs to be held accountable as well. I know McNeff's been the mouthpiece, has come out and been public and stuff, but if there's more people involved, they need to be made accountable. They then went on to say, I have no doubt that things in Ben's video were exaggerated, but I'm not placing any blame on him. He's a content creator and I think he's very entertaining. Personally, believe he enjoys helping people. If he can capitalize off that, why not? The value was exaggerated. The whole part about winning the small claims case wasn't super accurate, but honestly, I don't think anyone cares about that anymore. The story has evolved and uncovered so many other things that's what's keeping people's attention. And yeah, when people, especially like stuff like this, when things come out, you know, there's more to it than just what's happened. If I'm honest now, it's got way bigger than I think McNeff ever wanted it to be, and people are entertained and people are watching, and I'm enjoying reporting on it because it keeps people in the loop and it makes sure that we get the right result for Brian. And the last question is, any thoughts or closing comments? And it says, I'm not sure all the facts will ever be known. Odds are that Crystal probably did something at some point that was a mistake. She's human. There is probably some truth in what corporate says. Ammon probably does take some pride in the company, and he may even have DNA that is similar to a human. It has just been their lack of accountability in regards to Brian's story, and that they let it simmer for over a year. It's a lesson that was learned too late, and I just don't see a way for them to remove the tarnish from their brand. And I absolutely agree. I think the damage has been done. There's no going back. Brian and Crystal need to be made whole. Ben needs to get rid of all this stuff that's going on and release part 4, because he's going to be interviewing store owners just like this. So it's going to be very interesting to see that. I can't wait to see that. Let me know all your thoughts and comments in the comment section down below. Please hype the video so it spreads it out far and wide so more people can see this and we can make sure Brian does get his Lego and money back. Make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.